The Xbox 360 has a lot of great games, and even though I touched on this subject before, I don't think I really did it justice. I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today I look at some Xbox 360 hidden gems.
Second Opinion Games.
50 Cent Blood in the Sand is a third-person action platformer slash cover-based shooter starring the famous rapper, well, I don't know, Snoop Dogg or someone. The whole game is meant to be played with a partner, but if you don't have someone to play with, well, the computer takes hold and is really crappy at its job. You will run up and shoot a whole bunch of people in the face because someone stole your bling and you're just trying to get it back. Seriously, this guy doesn't care who he kills just to get a couple $100,000 worth of diamonds, even though I think in real life he's a billionaire or something. Somehow this manages to be a terrific game, and it has licensed music playing all throughout, and it's backwards compatible with modern Xboxes, so it generally fetches a fairly high price. Unlike Damnation, which is another third-person shooter, only this time the controls got a little bit weird. You see, you not only have to hold in the left trigger to aim, but then you have to hit another button to aim in a little bit farther because the slightest flick of the analog stick makes the cursor go like everywhere, so you can never hit the targets you're shooting at. It's also not Drake's Fortune, unfortunately, because even though it wants you to do tons of acrobatic stuff, it doesn't really catch on the way it should. So instead of making an easy jump, you will generally flop to your death, or maybe fall down a huge cavern, which then you have to work your entire way back up before you can progress the story. However, the aesthetics are kind of cool, and if you can get the hang of this, there is some fun to be had. But if you like your shooters a little faster paced, then Vanquish, made by Sega, is truly for you. Yes, you look like a generic Space Marine, but he could do one thing generic Space Marines can't do. They can slide for like ever with rocket boosters and destroy every enemy on the screen. Your standard machine gun does an excellent job mowing down the robots that you have to take down, and the boss battles are freaking huge and they last forever. The sheer size of the game and how ridiculous the overall concept is really does it for me. Also, there's a girl in your ear that has short hair, sort of like another Space Marine. Switching to a more open world, we have Gun. This game was overshadowed by the Red Dead series, but I think this one's still worth playing because of its great voice acting, and the controls are amazing. Going the bullet time and finding that your 6-shooter now can have infinite ammo, at least until the bullet time runs out, and then you have to reload and kill a whole bunch of, anything that could stand in your way, whether it be Native Americans or bears, pigeons, or anything else. You'll even be mining gold, jumping on a horse, running around, saving entire towns. It very much is Red Dead, only it looks last gen because this was a last gen game that was updated slightly to the Xbox 360. It's also a heck of a lot of fun. Mini Ninjas might not be an open world game, but it certainly feels like that at first, and that really just goes to show how well they went into developing this title. Everything is broken apart into separate levels, with lots of collectibles to find along the way, and you could even pick up different magical spells which helps you out through the game, like jumping into a bear to slaughter your opponents, or maybe a rabbit or a frog. You could also shoot out fireballs to kill some things. It feels very childlike because the game, it's not that hard, but it is a heck of a lot of fun. But it's huge, and because of its kiddie art style, not many people gave it a try, but the ones that did, absolutely love it. Another great ninja is Batman, and the Telltale series here is really one that you should check out because it feels like you're playing a TV show or a movie. The script writing is dead on to the Batman universe in one of the variations of the comic books. There were many over the years, and I really do prefer this one. The action sequences are a whole bunch of QuickTime events, and then there's dialogue segments where you get to choose what to say. You can make your character sound like Batman or make him sound like a total wuss and a pushover if that's really for you, which means you could play through this game multiple ways to see how the changes that would be made would actually transform the storyline. You could also try to mess up all the fight scenes just to see Batman get his face beat in by Catwoman, for example. This is good for at least 3 playthroughs, and it was deeply overshadowed by some of the other Batman experiences on the console. Another legendary license is Star Trek. This takes place directly after the first rebooted movie, which makes it sort of like a sequel, yet not, and you definitely play as Captain Kirk, unless you want to play as Spock, because this is another co-op adventure, so if you have a friend that wants to join in and play, well, then you'll have a great time with this one. However, this time, your co-op partner plays really darn well, maybe even too well, and just works together perfectly, so you never get very frustrated with the game. It's not just about shooting everything in sight. Most of the time, it's trying to find cover or working on your dialogue and pushing the story through, which is, by the way, top notch, as well as the voice acting here. Everything about this game is terrific, and most people avoid it like crazy because most people know that Star Trek games are trash, except for this one, and, one for the Wii. Going a little more terrestrial now with Truck Racer. I used to think that this would be a great idea, having tractor-trailer trucks race around a track. You could smash into other tractor-trailers, and the damage to your truck automatically gets repaired in between races, but as you push through the game, you'll be upgrading your truck to be bigger and badder and a little bit stronger, maybe even fishtailing around corners a little bit better, earning boosts and smashing through stuff. However, the game itself is a little bit slow, so unless you're really interested in truck racing, you should probably stay away from it. Me? I kind of like it, just like I like Blur, which is a racing game that's sort of like Mario Kart mixed in with real cars. There are lots of different power-ups on the track, and you'll just try to blow apart your opponents. Heck, some of the missions are just racing around against other generic cars and shooting them until they blow up into little tiny bits. You're trying to earn fan points as well as win races here, so there's a weird storyline in general, but I absolutely love this game from start to finish. If you play it in surround sound, it sounds extra freaking sweet, and my heart is thumping even if I'm in 10th place, for God's sakes. How many racing games could even do that? Turning to the skies now with Ace Combat Assault Horizon. This is like another Xbox Live title that I used to play a lot called Afterburner Climax, and even though I'm not climaxing after every single ship I shoot down, I'm still having a great time with this one. You lock on in sort of a first-person mode, and then you fire off all of your missiles. You can pick from a whole bunch of different planes. I don't see an A-110 Warthog so far in the game, but I'm hoping to unlock it a little bit later, and you'll just destroy everything in sight and do a bunch of various missions. Heck, there's even a minigun segment where you just get to wipe out a whole lot of innocent people. Well, maybe they're not that innocent. Anyway, there's huge bombs all around, and I do love me some good explosions. But helicopters are more my thing. That's why I have the Dreamcast game Under Defeat. Of course, it's not just the Dreamcast version here. You can play the original version, which lets you see a whole bunch of the screen, or you can play the arcade version, which is really condensed in. But my favorite part here is that you could pick from a couple different style helicopters, and each one is unique. However, most of the time, I just pick the giant red one because it is super powerful and it has homing missiles. However, your hitbox is a little bit bigger and your ship moves a little bit slower, but that's okay because the best defense is a good offense, and this thing's offense is off the hook. You also have screen clearing bombs, and I gotta say there's even less slowdown on here than on the original Dreamcast, and less slowdown than the PS3 version. Go figure. I didn't think the Xbox 360 had it in it. Jumping to the cheaper side with Scream Ride, a game that you can pick up for like $5, and it's a game with a whole bunch of little mini games inside of it, like running a roller coaster and pressing the right time to earn more boost, or maybe even going up on two wheels and trying not to die. You could also do a create your own roller coaster thing, and a bowling thing that I can never get the hang of. I know this game isn't for everyone, it kinda sucks, but for $5, if you could get a little bit of enjoyment out of it, it's certainly worth it. Cubed is another budget game which just has 3 Xbox Live Arcade games put together on one package. You have every extended extra extreme, which I don't understand anything that happens here whatsoever. I think the makers were on a whole bunch of drugs and they didn't care about how the game was played, or maybe I'm just not getting it. You have Res, which you could do with or without drugs, and it's still a heck of a lot of fun. The beat is amazing, and I really enjoy playing this one. And I also enjoy the VR version on the Oculus too, because this game is freaking amazing. And you have Luminous, puzzle game that I just cannot wrap my head around. However, it is super addictive to anyone that loves puzzle games, and eventually when you do figure it out, you're gonna have a very hard time putting it down. The music is also pretty sweet on this one. And finally, ending this game with a whole bunch of violence, we have Face Breakers, which is really a one-on-one fighting game pretending to be a boxing game. All the main characters here are total douchebags, so it doesn't matter who wins or who loses. The controls are very intuitive, which means you could dodge a lot of punches and even do counter punches and lay down some epic combos and beatdowns, and everything just flows together in what seems like a very fun game, and it will be even better if you have a second person to play with. And there is one good character in this entire game, and that's the ring girl in between rounds. I really love this game, even though it got terrible scores, so I gotta say it is one of the best hidden gems on the Xbox 360, as well as the rest of these games that I talked about today. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it, and if I didn't talk about your favorite hidden gem for the Xbox 360, let me know in the comments down below. I know I don't talk about RPGs all that much because they're too hard to record in the very limited time I have. Just be happy with the videos I'm giving you, and make sure you do leave me a comment. And for everyone out there, make sure you have a great day, and I will see you again sometime.
Keep the change.